For today's special episode of Transform My Dance Studio, we are revisiting one of our most popular training series for dance studio owners. Of course, I'm talking about Dance Teachers Unite. Now, if you haven't heard of Dance Teachers Unite, don't worry. Over the coming weeks, I am going to be sharing with you the very best bits and golden ticket ideas from the 10-day online summit. During Dance Teachers Unite, Clint was joined by over 30 industry experts who share their greatest tips for dance studio owners on every aspect of your business. From mindset to finance, from digital marketing to administration overhaul, we have got you covered.
Hey everyone, it's Clint Salter, your host for Dance Teachers Unite for 2015, and welcome to day number 1. And today is a really, really important day. So I'm glad that you're joining us because I know you want more students in your studio. You want to know how you can bring in more people and hopefully increase the profitability in your dance studio. But where does it start? Well, it definitely starts with you. And we are talking to 3 experts today around getting our minds sorted, getting through maybe some of that crap that stops us from moving forward and growing our businesses, and also looking after ourselves, exercising, making sure we're putting the right fuel into our bodies so that we can sustain our energy during the day and give the most to our clients and our families. So I'm super excited to be bringing you our masterclass guest right now, who is the amazing, the mind-body mentor, Marci Lock. Hey, Marci.
I'm like, oh, it's day 1. I'm going to be on day 1. Yay! How much fun.
Yeah, you are day 1. You've got a big responsibility here. We are setting...
Lock it down. All right.
Locking it down. We are setting these guys up for success for the next 10 days. So, Marci, I'd love for you to share in about 60 seconds just a little bit about you, the work you do, and what your big mission in the world is.
Okay, well, 60 seconds. Let's go. Are you timing me?
I'm timing you.
My vision is to shift the consciousness of the planet. And I guess my main message would be that if you're not experiencing amazingness, awesomeness, I like to use the word fucking fantastical. If you're not experiencing awesomeness in every aspect of your life, why not? Like, why the hell not? There's a belief system that says I can either have this, or a couple things working and not this. So I want to say bullshit. Everything gets to be awesome. And if that's not happening, what's going on inside you blocking that? That's boom. 60 seconds.
That's it. That's probably even like 30 seconds. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Marci, what, I guess, spurred you to kind of start doing this work in the world? Like, what was it? Did something happen in your life and you're like, you know what? It doesn't have to be like this.
No, Clint, my life's always been awesome.
Always. You just like woke up and you were like, yeah, awesome every day.
Obviously, in the shit, I experienced the gifts, right? And out of all my messes of life came my message. And so, yes, of course, like it really started for me in just wanting to stop struggling. My life was struggle, from disease, dysfunction, growing up on a farm where we had to raise our own food to survive, to, having breast cancer and a heart attack at 19, like you name it. My past history was, traumatic. And so my life was struggle. And I started in the body because at 4 years old, I took on a belief that, I have to have a perfect body to be loved, because I saw my mom be upset over her body and struggle. So I took on that belief of, if I have a good body, your body's so important. If you don't have a good body, you're not good enough, which was all bullshit. So what I found was through all my younger years, I struggled to fight to get my good body. But what happened? We always sabotage. We never allow ourselves to get there, or we get there and, we do something to sabotage, because the belief systems I had inside from the get-go were like, I'm not worthy of having it. I'm not good enough. I have to have a good body to be worthy. So I created resistance and sabotage. And so that's where I really started, was having a whole life of struggle. I was done struggling. I wanted to believe life could actually be awesome, but I couldn't actually imagine that because my life had been so much struggle. So I went through my journey of learning to break through those blocks and those beliefs and those thoughts and those patterns and the identity that I was living in that was keeping me in struggle, to have awesomeness.
Yeah. And so I was going to say, you use that word identity just then. And do you think a lot of people place an identity on them that my life's always going to be tough? It's always going to be a struggle. Things aren't ever going to happen to me that's going to be any good. Look at that person over there that's got that great life. I mean, do you see that a lot with people, with business owners?
That's a belief system and a thought. Those are patterns and thoughts and belief systems. Identities are personas that you live in, such as, so say for instance, a perfectionist identity is super common. 99.9% of us operate out of perfectionist identity patterns because the way we've been conditioned and trained in our society says, I have to show up this way for you to love me and be validated. Now, so even for us to be like, okay, we got to have it, maybe dance owners, we got to have a good body image because people are judging us that we got to look the part and be a dancer. And all this is trying to show up a certain way to be good enough, which in the core it says, I'm not really worthy and good enough. Hence, we're blocking money. We're blocking relationships. We're blocking balance. We're doing that game of the entrepreneur that's like feast, famine with your money because you have unconscious commitments being broke because you're unworthy. Like your patterns, the identity that you took on. So there's like being a victim is an identity, being the martyr, being someone who, so just these are things that you've chosen to live in because you based them off of decisions when you were little of how to survive, how the world operates, loved and accepted.
Totally. Marci, if we've got people sitting here going, oh my God, I think that's me. I mean, when you're working with your clients, what are those first steps? Like what, if someone's identified, okay, yeah, maybe I'm living a bit in that, what would you suggest are those first things they do to try and make that shift?
Okay, well, first off, I think the biggest disconnect for people is realizing that they're the world's greatest example of how to treat them or how to love themselves. So if you're the person who, in perfectionist identity, you most likely lived in a mask, you've been hiding who you really are, meaning you just try to show up for everybody and do everything and you go, right? You're like, yes, I resonate with this too.
Yes. And I'm thinking of our studio owners who, literally they're not number one on the list. Generally, they're not number 10 on the list. Their families, their students, the parents, the teachers, they're looking after everyone else before them. So while you're saying that, I'm like, yes, this is our studio owners and our teachers.
So let's look at the truth of what's really going on. If you're someone who can't even take 20 minutes for you to exercise every day, if you're someone who can't have a balanced life, if you're someone who you're not giving yourself peace, balance, time, connection with your kids or loved ones or for yourself, how in the world do we think we're actually able to manifest money? It's a complete disconnect. I'm not even worthy of 10 minutes for myself, yet I think I'm going to kick ass in my business and someday the money's going to flow in and then I'll have balance. Everything that you're speaking and acting and operating in is creating more shit, more resistance, more disconnect, more, craziness of time. So a lot of it is even dropping the stories that you've been telling yourself about it has to look a certain way. So when we recognize, oh my gosh, I'm showing up this way to be loved and validated, but you're empty. There's nothing going on for you. So the truth is until you make yourself a priority and number one, there's nothing there for you to fill up on. And you think about it like I think of it like, you're filling up everyone's pitcher or glass with your pitcher. Like you've got a full pitcher and you're like, here. And then all of a sudden there's nothing in there. And they're like, crazy lady, you didn't give me anything. Give until you fill up first. So even like Clint, you were saying like, yeah, you got to do your morning exercise. So what? So you're in tune, you feel good, you're energized. When you take care of you, you're actually connected, you're inspired, you feel good, and there's plenty to give. But when you're so fucking drained, there's nothing for you to give. So it's starting to shift the patterns and say, okay, if I know that I actually cannot manifest money until I say I'm worthy of even having 10 minutes to exercise or 20 minutes exercise or taking 10 minutes, how do I reschedule my day? How do I ask for some assistance? Maybe dropping stories as a single mom. When I started to create my businesses, how do I get to drop some stories about what it has to look like? So see, we all think it has to look a certain way. That's just what society has told you. What way do you want it to look? How does it get to look for you? Because guess what? 99% of the population is spectators and participants. 1% are creators. I don't want to live like the 99%. So how they choose to live doesn't work for me. I get to choose, well, how would this get to look for me? What works for me as a mom and what works for me in my business? And how would I get to set myself up for success?
Yeah, I love it. Such great advice. And I can see our studio owners getting excited because they're like, time for me, that's going to make my business grow. That's going to make my family be more intact because, so many of our studio owners say to me, Clint, I don't have time to spend with my family. I teach all afternoon. I come home at like 10 o'clock. Everyone's in bed. Like my husband's left maybe my dinner on the kitchen, table for me. And they feel like they've got to do it all. What advice would you give as a single mom who has created an amazing business, impacting the lives of so many people and still having time with your kids? I see those videos on Facebook where you guys are having a lot of fun. I mean, how do you make it work? And you touched a bit on delegation just then, but I'd love you to kind of explain how it works for you.
Totally. And first off, I want you guys to tune in and think, if this is the life experience that you're having, where you get home at 10 o'clock at night, dinner's on the table, and everyone's in bed, is that really the life you really want? So what you're doing right now isn't working. You got to do something different to get different results. And I recognize, I go and Clint, I'd be happy to make sure you and your peeps have a link that helps really dig into what some blocks and barriers are, because I give it to my peeps before they start my program, and it's like mind blowing. Okay.
Awesome.
So when we understand, okay, if this is the patterns I'm in and I'm doing this, it's never going to change. So when we look at, okay, if I want to create a life of balance, for me, the first start was I used to work till literally, Clint, 2 a.m. building my business, and I'd get up at 5 a.m. because I was that same story everyone else is living in. So I totally get this. And I recognize it's never going to change until I do something different. And so I started to even tell myself, okay, so I want to create some balance with my kids 3 days a week. I'm going to plan out an hour right here to go play. And the more I created balance, then it became every day. Then it became, every day at 5 o'clock I was done. Then it became every day at 3. Now my life pretty much is like on Wednesdays. The reason you and I got to connect a little later, I had a couple masterminds worldwide to run. Pretty much I just play all the time. And I have a whole team around me that supports me. But see, if I didn't start somewhere, and even looking at where I get to delegate. So for me, I looked at, okay, what was taking up my time? Cleaning my house on Saturdays. And I was like, I started to go, what is the cost I'm actually paying by giving up the time with my kids to play or creating in my business and making money versus me paying someone $50 every 2 weeks to come clean the house. And I had to break through the stories that, that's selfish. I should be able to clean my own house. You look at me now, I have a house manager that does my laundry, picks up groceries. I don't cook. I don't clean. I have 3 assistants. I have a tech team. I have everything handled for me. I just moved into a different house in California, got home on Sunday from us playing all summer, traveling, and my house was moved into and decorated. Like, boom. Like, that's the life I live now. But it had to start somewhere. So it started with me saying, how do I create more balance? And how do I drop some stories that it has to look a certain way, like being a mom, etc., and ask for assistance? So when I allowed myself to get my house clean, guess what? I never fucking ever wanted to clean my house ever. I was like, this is amazing. And I saved half a Saturday, which would have cost me cleaning, to create money in my business and create time to play with my kids. And I was like, whoa. And so I started to look at how else can I get assistance? How else can I delegate? Today on one of my masterminds, one of my guys that runs a huge, massive organization, he realized, he's like, I had to meet my employees at 8 a.m. And I realized, why am I doing that? I could just say, okay, guys, I'm going to see you later at 11 and you start the job. Where do we get to shift some things to create more balance? And the more you do, Clint, it becomes like you don't want to go back. You don't want to go back to old shit. And something I want to share is when I started to create balance and peace and flow in my life, you look at, I started off with that single mom, very low income kind of thing. I was a waitress making $2 an hour when I first found out I had a cheating husband and got divorced. Now my business produces anywhere from a couple $100,000 to $500,000 a month, and I'm playing. And so it's about the more you shift into believing you're worthy of that, literally it expands, it becomes more possible.
Oh, I love it. And as you said, the cleaner, I'm laughing because our new cleaner started yesterday and I went home last night and I was so happy. Like you walk into that bathroom and it's white and it's amazing. And you're like, I just wanted to cry because I was like, I don't have to clean, and and that for me is just like rest time now. I don't have to clean. So I think as well, the great thing about delegation is you don't need to fill it up with more stuff. You can fill it up with more stuff that's income generating, maybe working on those high priority tasks for your studio or your business, or actually take that time for you. Take that hour to go and exercise or play with the kids, or if you want, lie on the lounge and watch some TV. If that's what it is for you to chill out, I'm totally all for that. So thanks for sharing that because I think it's really important. The other thing you said is I find that delegation gets addictive, because
it does.
The way I do it, like I love it. And every week I'm like, like yesterday, I was employing, another bookkeeper, and I say to our studio owners, once you start and someone takes over something and it's okay, like the whole studio doesn't fall apart because you're not doing everything because you think, I'm the only one that can do that. No one can do it as good as me. What kind of, what would you say around that? Because I know so many of our studio owners are saying, oh, but I pass it off and then they make a mistake and then I have to redo it. So I might as well just do it myself.
So let's think about that. If that's our thought process, So 98% of people stop after 2 to 3 tries. Not Think and Grow Rich. It's Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. He talks about that. And it's awesome because what you realize is that you try something and you go, oh, well, I had to do this and I had to fix them on that. Well, if they've never done it before, how would they ever know? So, but instead if we go, okay, awesome, what's the feedback here? So see how our perception creates our possibility. But the feedback is like, okay, so we get to get a little bit more clear. Next time I would love you to do this and add this, and we're training them, boom, then that's off your plate. And even as a mom, it might be like even around your home life. How else do I get to ask for assistance? It's like my kids are 8 and 12. This morning I was at the gym. They get up, they make their own breakfast, they pack their own lunch, they get all ready to go, and the nanny's here to take them to school. That in the past, it was like we got to, okay, what else do we get to try? What else do we get to try? What else do we get to try? For them to get dressed and to clean up on their own and teach them responsibility, that it got to be like, oh, that's how our life flows. So if I aim towards that and I keep going towards that, I'm going to create something different. Another thing that I wanted to mention, you saying, okay, so there's 4 zones that you live in. First off, we start in the zone of incompetence. Anybody could do it. It's like bagging groceries. Anybody could learn to bag groceries, right? Then you move to the zone of competence where you're like, okay, I only maybe not everybody can do it, but most people can do it, right? Then you move to the zone of excellence, which is like you're excellent at it. You probably make good money and do it really well and get really validated, but most people stay in that zone of excellence. So your dance instructors, a lot of entrepreneurs stay in the zone of excellence where they can do the bookkeeping really well and this really well and this really well, and it keeps everything flowing. But guess what? It's keeping you from your zone of genius. So I'm committed to living in my zone of genius. That's why I don't fucking do laundry. There's someone that's competent or incompetent that can do laundry. In my zone of genius. That's why I don't buy groceries and I don't cook things and I don't clean the house or anything like that, because I'm committed to living in my zone of genius. So I'm always just sharing my passion, my purpose. I'm always feeling good. I'm always doing the things that I absolutely rock at and I feel fulfilled. So look at what could other people take on? What are things that I could delegate so that I'm committed? If you're the rock star dance instructor, you get to be the rock star dance instructor. Who gets to assist with clients? Who gets to assist with cleaning the studio? Who gets to assist with bookkeeping? All those things, because all that energy is taken from you, and you already have plenty of energy inside you to shine, and yet you're like, because you don't have the energy from living in your zone of genius.
I love what you're saying here, and it's going to connect so much with studio owners, because when they think of outsourcing or delegating something, they think of spending money. It's directly related. I had one of our, in our group, the association, one of our studio owners about cleaning the studio. He's like, hey guys, I've been cleaning the studio, every Sunday, and I'm thinking if someone else should be doing this. I was like, yes. And people are like, oh, I want to do the same, but it's going to cost me money. And so I think it's really about getting back to your value, where you're in that place of joy, but also those activities that are going to generate more income as well for your business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
The first thought for me was we get to shift our mentality. When you're looking at everything in lack and scarcity, so there's 2 energies that you're always operating out of, fear or faith. Fear is lack, scarcity, worry, what if. Now, this is my favorite analogy to explain the 2 is, say you're going up a roller coaster and you go to get on the roller coaster and you look at it through the eyes of fear. Oh, I don't know what's up over this hill and what's around the bend and what's at the end and what's going to happen. I just won't get on. I won't get on the roller coaster. So you don't move forward in life. You don't create anything different. That's what you're doing, staying in your same shit patterns and doing the same things over that are keeping you running like with your head cut off. Nothing's going to change. Now, when we approach the roller coaster out of faith energy, faith energy is love energy. It's creation energy. It's seeing out of wonderment, curiosity, excitement. So you're like, oh, I'm so excited to see what's up over this hill and what's around the bend and who I get to meet and all the opportunities and how I get to grow better in my studio and how many more, people get to assist me and what's at the end of this roller coaster. You get on the fucking roller coaster. So the same thing, if you're seeing it out of the mentality of lack and scarcity, oh, this is going to cost me. What are you focused on? You're focused on spending money, worried about money. That's the energy. And you're saying you're literally not attracting money. You're attracting shit. Okay. Now, if instead you go, and you realize if you looked at it as like, what is it costing me for me to be doing that? I'm spending my time there. It's costing me my kids. Whatever you're saying yes to, you're saying no to something else. I'm saying yes to my studio instead of playing with my boys. How does that feel? That doesn't feel very good. So literally, if saying yes to your passion purpose is teaching, I'm saying yes to that. Everything else, there gets to be a better priority. So look at what's the cost you're actually paying in your life. if you're saying yes to that.
I hope you enjoyed one of our favorite moments from Dance Teachers Unite. If you'd like lifetime access to over 30 hours of these video masterclasses, make sure to check out www.dancestudioownersassociation.com.